The land of Ikala was more than a town. It was a treasure of the earth. Beneath its red clay slept veins of power, stones that gleamed brighter than stars, deep beds of limestone, and the faint shimmer of gold that could make a man's heart turn cold. But fortune has two faces. What should have been a blessing soon awakened greed. Where treasures sleep, greed stirs, and once it opens its eyes, peace begins to fade. Ashes of greed. The rebellion that saved Ikala.
The night was still, filled only with the hum of crickets and the faint chatter of elders gathered by the fire. In those days, the old ways still held strong, drumming at dusk, market women calling at dawn, yet a new wind was rising. School bells now rang beside the shrines. Chalk dust mingled with the scent of roasted maize. It was the dawn of a new age. And in this changing world, two boys grew like twin trees from the same root, Edem and Mba.
Edem and Mba were not born brothers, yet they lived as though their mothers had shared one womb. If Edem was the body, Mba was the mind. Edem was tall and strong, a river of muscle and quiet determination. Mba was quick with words, his laughter bright, his tongue sharp enough to twist trouble into joy. Together, they were feared, loved, admired. Edem's strength was known throughout Ikala, though he was shy. Too shy to greet a girl at the stream or speak before strangers. Mba, by contrast, was smooth and confident. His smile disarmed anger, and his words could make customers buy more than they planned. Everyone said the two boys had destiny written on them. At school, while others tired of English lessons, Edem and Mba pressed on, determined. In the evenings, they trained with sticks, racing through the dusty fields. "One day, I will wear the uniform of a general," says Edem, and then Mba grins, "and I will be the voice that carries your name to the world." They shared one mat, one plate, one dream. The village watched smiling. "These boys are not ordinary," the elders said. "They will stand tall in this new world." But fate, patient and silent, waited in the shadows. The days rolled like the talking drum, each beat carrying the boys closer to manhood. They shared everything: food, dreams, loyalty. But when it came to love, they walked separate paths. At the market, Mba's charm drew laughter wherever he went. He leaned on stalls, teasing, smooth as palm wine. "Ah, sister, that head tie sits like a crown. If beauty were cloth, you'd be the finest silk in town." Giggles followed him like shadows. Even mothers who scolded him could not hide their smiles. Edem, on the other hand, had strength that drew whispers at the stream. Women admired him, but he stayed quiet, bowing his head whenever eyes met his. He helped them carry pots and firewood, never once revealing his heart. Still, the women loved them both, one for his laughter, one for his gentleness. "If Mba makes you laugh, Edem will make you safe," they said. At festivals, when drums thundered, Mba sang and danced fast, pulling girls into rhythm. Edem would stand shyly behind until Mba forced him into the circle, the crowd cheering as the quiet one danced like a warrior among maidens. Their laughter seemed endless. But life, like a forest, hides shadows where even sunlight cannot reach. Ikala stood beside a wide, restless river. Across its waters, strange white tents of foreign soldiers rose like mushrooms after rain. Their bugles echoed at dawn, frightening yet fascinating. This was the dawn of civilization, when children carried books, yet soldiers carried rifles through the same streets. Some soldiers were kind, others were cruel. Whispers of women taken at night drifted through the town like cold wind. Edem's eyes never left those soldiers. Their boots struck the ground with power. Their rifles gleamed. One day, I will wear that uniform. Not as their servant, but as a leader of my own men, he said. Mba watched differently. He studied their words, their gestures, how they bargained and commanded. Strength alone will not rule in this new world, my brother. Words move more armies than swords, says Mba. When the war front quieted, the boys joined the drills in the open field, imitating the soldiers. At night, they practiced alone, Edem swinging a carved stick like a saber, while Mba shouted mock commands in a foreign accent. They laughed until their ribs ached, then fell silent, staring at the glowing horizon where distant gunfire rumbled. They saw in those soldiers not enemies, but opportunity, a path into greatness. But greatness is never given. It is forged through fire. Ikala was struggling. Fathers bowed under heavy taxes. Mothers fought to fill pots. And when the moon rose, drunken soldiers wandered through town, stealing food, wine, and dignity. The people endured, heads bowed. But one day, silence broke. Two soldiers stormed into the market, mocking the elders, kicking over a trader's kola nuts. When an old man protested, one soldier shoved him to the ground. Edem was there. His fist trembled with fury. Slowly, he stepped forward. One soldier shouted, "Boy, stay out of this! Go chase goats!" But then Edem responded, "Not today." The soldiers attacked. Fists and boots rained down. Edem fought back, each blow landing like thunder. But 2 against 1 was brutal. Blood streaked his lip. They shouted, "Stay down!" But he rose again and again. The market froze. Women gasped. Children hid. Edem, bloodied and staggering, refused to fall. Then the crowd stirred. Mba stood at the front, rallying the people, young boys gripping stones in their fists. The villagers closed in, eyes burning with anger. The soldiers saw the crowd and backed away in shame. With curses they fled toward the riverbank. Edem swayed, nearly falling, but strong arms caught him. Mba rushed to his side. Mba panting heavily. "You stood, my brother." Today, the whole town saw it. That night, they sang Edem's name softly. He was no longer just a boy. He was the spirit of defiance itself. It began with gunfire. At first, distant, soft echoes rolling over the river like thunder. But soon the cracks grew louder, closer, until war itself marched into Ikala's streets. For days the town froze, doors barred, windows shut. No laughter, no birdsong, only the cruel rhythm of rifles. Farmers left their fields, women stopped cooking, men sat in silence, waiting for the storm to pass. Even the trees seemed to stop breathing. Then, relief. Soldiers from other camps arrived, pushing the gunfire back. For a short time, peace returned. But it was a fragile peace. These new soldiers were harsher. They demanded food, drink, even women. Some women were taken by force, others went willingly, seduced by charm and the strange power of a soldier's life. It divided the town. Some called them beasts, others envied their boldness. Ikala lived in 2 colors, fear and fascination. And amid it all, Edem and Mba grew restless. Edem quietly clenching his fists. This cannot last.
Mba responded, "Then we must be the ones to change it." Their words were small flames in a land ready to burn.
The sun sank low one evening, painting the sky red as if it too had tasted blood. A group of young women walked home from the schoolhouse, laughter light after a long day. Among them was Emma, tall, graceful, her eyes bright with purpose. She dreamed of becoming a nurse, perhaps even a doctor. The elders said she was a blessing to Ikala, proof that learning could heal as much as strength. But danger waited on the road. 3 young soldiers stepped out, uniforms hanging loose, laughter coarse. They circled the girls, their words sharp with threat. Hands reached for rappers. Fear silenced the air. Emma stood firm and steady. "Leave us," she screamed. Her voice shook, but her gaze did not. Then came a shout like thunder. "Enough!" It was Edem. He stepped from the shadows, chest broad, jaw tight. Without hesitation, he struck the first soldier. Blood burst from the man's lip. The others lunged, but Edem met them head-on. Fists flew. Dust rose. He fought like a storm, like a lion protecting his own. One man fell groaning, another stumbled. The last soldier raised his rifle, trembling with rage. Gasps echoed, but Edem was faster. He seized the fallen man, twisted his arm, and turned the rifle back towards them, holding his enemy as a shield. Step by step, he pushed the soldier towards the camp. Behind him, Mba gathered the girls and a few boys, following close, fear mixing with awe. The camp stirred. Soldiers poured out, hands on their guns, until their commander appeared. A tall man with kind eyes, scarred but calm. He raised his hand. Silence fell. "The commander in a bold tone, 'What is this?' Mba quickly responded, 'General, these men disgraced themselves. They tried to harm the women. My brother Edem stopped them.' The commander studied Edem, his grip steady, eyes unwavering. 'Let him go. No harm will come to you,' he said. After a long pause, Edem released the soldier. The man stumbled forward coughing. Then, to everyone's shock, the commander's fist flew, striking his own man to the ground. Commander furious. 'Lock them up! They will rot for this shame.' He turned to Edem. 'Commander, what is your name, boy?' 'Edem.' Edem answered with a bit of head bow. 'Commander, you fight like a lion, but more than that, you fight for others. Men like you do not belong in the dust. Join us, you and your brother. Help in the field, carry food, tend the wounded. Let us see how high you can rise.' Behind him, Emma's eyes glistened with pride. Mba's smile stretched wide. And Edem, though blood still marked his hands, felt destiny open before him. The next morning, excitement buzzed through Ikala. Mba strutted like a captain, saluting everyone in sight. 'You saw the general? He looked at me. He spoke to us. We are no longer just town boys.' Edem said little, walking with quiet purpose. The commander's words echoed in his mind. 'Men like you do not belong in the dust.' Later, Emma approached him, eyes soft. 'Thank you for what you did. If you hadn't come, we don't know what would have happened.' Edem's throat tightened. Before he could reply, Mba cut in cheerfully. 'And if we are going to help in the field,
Emma should join us. She can be a nurse. Emma smiled lightly. Yes, I want to help. I want to learn. To be a nurse. Maybe even a doctor. This is my chance. Edem nodded, proud yet nervous. Her courage matched his own, only in a different way. That day marked the beginning of their journey, a new path into the heart of war.
The first days in camp stripped away every trace of childhood. Gunfire echoed in the distance. The smell of blood and smoke filled the air. Rows of wounded men lay under makeshift tents, their cries cutting through the night. Emma's hands trembled at first. She froze the first time she saw bone. The smell made her stagger back. But Edem caught her arm, voice calm. If you walk away, he dies. You are stronger than this, Emma. You said you wanted to be a nurse. Here is where you become one. She met his eyes, breathing hard, then nodded. From that day, she didn't flinch again. A quiet bond began between them, built on shared courage and unspoken trust. Mba, meanwhile, turned the camp into his stage. He winked at girls, saluted dramatically, boasting of medals he didn't yet have. Even the general will know my name soon. Weeks became months. Emma grew steady. Edem learned discipline. Mba's laughter grew thinner. The war was shaping them, carving innocence into experience. Almost a year passed. The boys were no longer children. Then one night, chaos. Gunfire ripped through the camp. Shouts, smoke, a raid. Edem and Mba ran into the storm, dragging the wounded out from burning tents. The air was thick with blood and fear. Later, a message came. Reinforcements were approaching from the north. The general decided to meet them with a small guard. Edem's instincts whispered danger. He followed quietly, Mba at his side. At the forest's edge, shadows moved. 4 men lunged from the dark, pulling the general down. Without thinking, Edem grabbed the fallen rifle. One shot cracked the night. One attacker dropped. The others fled. Edem rushed to the general, helping him stand. You will live. I won't let them take you today, he assured him. Mba helped him carry the wounded man through hidden paths until they reached Edem's mother's house in Ikala. Emma was there. She cleaned the general's wounds, hands sure, voice calm. The general looked at Edem with gratitude. You brought me back. In my weakness, you kept me safe. Few men could do what you have done. Mba stood silent beside them, seeing, for the first time, what true courage looked like. That night, under the whispering river wind, Edem said quietly, we survive because we care. We fight because it is right. Emma nodded, eyes burning with purpose. From that night, none of them were ever the same. From that night in Ikala, Mba was never the same. He laughed less. The playful spark that once made people smile turned into a sharp edge. He began to train harder, longer. His strikes were fierce, his eyes colder, feeling low and intense. Why should we only carry water or run errands? We should give the orders, lead men, shape battles. His hunger for power grew like fire. Meanwhile, Edem's strength became quieter, steadier. The general, grateful for the boy who had once saved his life, took him under his wing. They met often by lamplight, maps spread before them. Strength without wisdom destroys itself, but strength guided by purpose can change nations, says the general. Edem listened deeply. His voice grew firm, his steps measured. The boys of Ikala began to look at him with respect.
And through it all, Emma was always close, healing the wounded, carrying hope. Sometimes, their hands brushed when passing bandages. Sometimes, they sat silently after long nights, staring at the river as crickets sang. One evening, Emma broke down after losing a young boy no older than herself. Edem sat beside her under the tree, quiet but steady. You didn't fail him. You gave him dignity in his last breath. That is no small thing. Emma's were teary. You always know what to say. He held her hands. No, I only speak what I believe. Their silence after that said what words could not. Something between them shifted, deep, quiet, unspoken.
As the months turned into years, Edem's leadership grew naturally. He led small units through forests, striking at rebels, guiding men with calm precision. His courage drew loyalty, his humility, trust. Emma saw him return from battle nights, his clothes muddy, his eyes shadowed. She cleaned his wounds in silence, her hands gentle, her heart full. Sometimes their eyes met and lingered. No words, just that quiet bond. Mba, however, was walking a different path. He still admired Edem, but envy had begun to creep in. He watched the officers, memorized their manner, their tone. He spoke like them, moved like them. Strength wins fights, Edem, but words win wars. I can make men move with my voice. The other boys nodded, drawn to his charm. Edem didn't argue. He just worked. Ikala grew divided, two figures rising under the same sky.
One dawn, smoke rose on the horizon. Drums thundered in the forest. Rebels were coming.
Women fled to the riverside. The young men, Edem among them, took positions along narrow roads. The first shots cracked. Rebels poured from the trees. Chaos broke loose. Edem shouted calm, firm orders, his voice cutting through the storm. He split the enemy with quick strikes, using hidden paths only locals knew. Ikala fought back. The first wave of rebels retreated. Inside the makeshift field hospital, Emma faced her own battle. Wounded men screamed, some missing limbs, some barely breathing. Her hands moved fast, cleaning wounds, stitching skin, whispering prayers. At one moment she faltered, the blood and pain too much to bear, until she glimpsed Edem outside the tent, standing tall, fearless in the smoke. Her breath steadied. She pressed on. But Mba sought glory. He rallied a group of boys with fiery words. They will tell our story. Forward, we take the fight to them. They followed him, wild with courage, until the rebels regrouped. In the confusion, Edem's unit was surrounded. Gun barrels gleamed. He fought hard, but the numbers crushed him. He and several of his men were captured, dragged into the forest. Only Mba escaped. He stumbled back into camp, chest heaving, face blooded. Mba shouting, "They took him! They took Edem and the others, but we cannot break. We must fight harder." The camp roared behind him, his voice strong, but Emma's heart shattered. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "He's alive. He must be," she tells herself. Days passed, then weeks. Search parties returned empty-handed. No one found Edem. When the general returned from another front, he demanded answers. Mba bowed his head, voice heavy with false sorrow. He's gone. All of them. Dead. The general's face fell. He turned away, tears filling his eyes. Ikala wept. Fathers tore their clothes. Mothers wailed. Emma bowed her head too, but her spirit refused to believe. Every night she whispered a single prayer. He is alive somewhere. I will wait. Years passed. 6 long years. Mba rose to power step by step. He traded with the rebels in secret, selling weapons for peace. He gained respect, wealth, and control. But his eyes often turned toward Emma. He wanted her, needed her beside him. She refused. I will not marry you, Mba. My heart is not yours. He pressed harder, mixing promises and threats. Mba in anger. No one will protect you. Edem is gone. 6 years gone. Dead. Emma defiant. Then I will wait alone. For 6 years or 60. He is worth every weight. Mba's face hardened. He turned away. For all his power, he could not command her heart. Far away, Edem lived. Buried in the prisons of a neighboring land, he survived, scarred, starved, but unbroken. The rebels had made him a captive, yet even in chains, he inspired the others. One day, a fight broke out among the prisoners. The rebel leader's son was nearly killed. Edem, though weak, fought fiercely, shielding the boy with his own body. When the dust settled, the boy was alive. From that moment, Solomon, the rebel leader, looked at Edem differently. He invited him to his tent. There, under the glow of a lantern, truth was finally spoken. You were betrayed. Your own friend, the one with the silver tongue, he feeds us weapons. In return, we leave Ikala in peace. You were the price of his ambition, says the leader. Edem sat in silence. The face of Mba, his brother in spirit, burned in his mind. Solomon's voice lowered. Ikala was rich once. Stones bright as stars, veins of gold, beds of limestone. But greed poisoned her. Our chiefs sold their souls to foreigners. We rose to protect the land. They branded us rebels. He sighed deeply. Your leaders feasted while our earth was stripped bare. We fought to guard what was ours, and for that, they hunted us. We are not the enemies, my friend. Edem's heart ached with every word. The truth burned heavier than chains. That night, as the wind rustled through the camp, his destiny shifted again. Years passed in captivity. Edem's body bore scars, but his spirit stayed firm. He had become a legend among prisoners, the man who would not break. Then, one dawn, the world shifted. Solomon's son Zanga recovered from his old wounds and stood before his father. The man who saved me deserves his freedom. Solomon agreed as he turned to Edem. Mba's deals have grown weak. His loyalty is fading. I cannot kill you. You are too honorable to die by my hand. But I cannot keep you either. Go, return to your people. He handed Edem a rifle. Guards led him and 2 of his men through the forest until they reached the border. There, Solomon held out his hand. Ikala will not be disturbed again.
You have my word. Zanga stepped forward, emotion in his voice. I owe you my life. If you ever need me, call. Edem nodded, his eyes heavy with 6 lost years. He turned and walked toward home. Edem and his men climbed onto a lorry loaded with vegetables, hiding among sacks of cassava. The road was long, silent, except for the hum of engines and the beat of his heart. By dawn, he slipped off at Ikala's junction. The town had changed. Walls were higher, soldiers rougher, bus banners hung everywhere. Edem disguised himself, a bent old man, beard grayed with ash, leaning on a carved stick. He instructed his 2 men to hide outside the town until they hear from him. For 4 days, he moved through the markets and streets like a shadow, watching, listening. He saw Mba's men at every corner, drunk, careless, seizing food, mocking elders. He heard whispers of fear and of Emma, the healer who refused Mba's hand. On the 4th day, fate found him. He saw Emma, kneeling by a sick child, her hands steady, her voice soft. 6 years gone, yet she was still the same. Their eyes met. Time froze. She blinked in disbelief, and Edem turned quickly, vanishing into the crowd. Emma followed, heart racing, but he was gone like smoke in the wind. Emma, whispering to herself, "It can't be."
That night, as Emma walked home under the moonlight, a voice came from the shadows. "Don't turn. Don't shout. It's me, Edem." Her breath caught. Her knees trembled. Without a word, she walked faster, straight home, unlocking her door with shaking hands. Inside, she whispered, "Now." The door closed behind her. From the darkness, Edem stepped forward, scarred, gaunt, older, but alive. Emma gasped. Tears filled her eyes as she cupped his face. She was all over him. Her joy was out of this world. "They said you were dead. I never believed. I waited." She wept into his chest and he held her tight, their silence speaking louder than words. For the first time in 6 years, peace lived in that small room. Fragile, trembling, real. Days turned into nights. Edem stayed hidden inside Emma's compound. By day, she tended to the sick. By night, they whispered by lamplight. He told her fragments of his years in captivity, the betrayal, the pain, Solomon's truth. She listened, tears in her eyes, her hands gently tending his wounds. Sometimes they laughed quietly, remembering their youth. Sometimes they simply sat in silence, holding each other's hands, afraid of the world outside. But danger crept close. Emma noticed soldiers lingering near her gate, asking questions. A neighbor warned her that Mba's men had started watching again, saying she still refused his proposal. One evening, 2 soldiers came, insisting on searching her house. Her heart thundered. Edem crouched behind her mat, knife in hand. Emma smiled, calm and polite. "You may look around. Please, feel free." She led them through the courtyard, talking about their families, their wives, distracting them with laughter. One soldier reached for the bedroom door. Emma sneezed suddenly, loud and sharp. Both men turned to her, laughing. "Ah, healer, you caught the cold yourself." They teased her lightly and left. Only when the footsteps faded did Edem rise from hiding, sweat running down his face. Their eyes met,
relief and fear mixing in silence. That night, neither of them slept. They sat side by side until dawn, hands touching, knowing how close they had come to losing everything. Their reunion was a quiet fire, fragile, burning, and real.
As days passed, Edem moved through Ikala in secret. He watched Mba's soldiers, how they collected taxes, bullied villagers, and drank away their loyalty. Each night, he whispered what he saw to Emma, who shared gossip overheard at the clinic. Piece by piece, the truth of Mba's rule came together. When the time was right, Edem sent word through the old forest routes. 2 weeks later, Solomon and his men appeared, moving like shadows through the trees. They clasped hands. Old respect rekindled. Now is the time. But it must be the people who see his betrayal with their own eyes, says Solomon. Edem nodded. The plan was set. Mba would be exposed, not with rumors, but with proof. That night, Emma stood beside Edem as he looked out over Ikala's sleeping roofs. You've come back to a kingdom ruled by fear. Then we will wake it with truth, Edem replied. She reached for his hand. Their fingers intertwined, the lamplight flickering across faces marked by endurance and love. The time for reckoning had come. The night before the reckoning, Edem moved quietly through the narrow paths of Ikala. He sought out the men who had once fought beside him, boys who now wore Mba's colors out of fear. He met them in the shadows, one by one. Their faces froze in disbelief. Soldier Edem, we thought you were dead. He spoke softly, voice steady. I was, but I have returned, not for revenge, but for truth. You've seen what Mba has done. The greed, the fear, the lies. Stand with me, not for me, but for Ikala. Silence followed. Then one by one, they nodded. Old loyalty stirred like fire under ash. By dawn, a small force stood ready. Not rebels, not soldiers, but sons of Ikala determined to take their home back. That night, Mba held a great feast in the town square. Music, drums, laughter, a celebration of his peaceful rule. The elders sat stiffly. The young soldiers drank freely. At the head of the long table sat Mba, dressed in fine cloth and pride. His voice boomed over the music. Ikala thrives under my watch. No more chaos, no more war. We are strong because I lead. Laughter rose, hollow, uneasy. Then the drum stopped. A ripple of confusion spread through the crowd. From the gate, a single figure stepped forward. Tall, broad-shouldered, face scarred by time and fire. Edem. Gasps filled the night. Women covered their mouths. Soldiers froze. Mba furious, trembling. No, this cannot be. You're dead. You're a ghost. Edem's voice rang steady through the silence. Not a ghost, just truth. Come back to walk among you. He stepped into the torchlight. Edem continues. Brothers of Ikala, look at what has become of us. We once fought for honor, for freedom. Now our leader sells our land for coins and calls it peace. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Mba's face darkened. Mba, then shouting, lies! All lies! Arrest him! But no one moved. The soldiers looked at one another uncertain. Then, from the shadows behind Edem, Solomon and his rebels appeared, armed, silent, eyes burning. The crowd drew back in fear.
But Edem raised a hand. No blood, only truth. He threw a bundle to the ground. Hidden letters, foreign coins, secret agreements. Proof of Mba's betrayal spilled before the people.
The feast erupted into chaos. Soldiers shouted, some for Mba, others for Edem. Mba drew his blade, his eyes wild. Mba roaring, "You stole everything from me! You think you can come back and take my place?" "I never wanted your place, Mba. Only peace for Ikala," Edem affirms. They clashed, steel against steel. The crowd circled, torn between fear and awe. Edem's movements were sharp and controlled. Mba's were furious, desperate. The fight was brutal. Mba struck first blood, a cut across Edem's arm. Edem countered, pushing him back, step by step, until Mba stumbled near the fallen table. Mba spitting, "You think you're better than me? You think they'll follow you?" Edem steady, "I don't need them to follow me. I need them to be free." With one final surge, Edem disarmed him. The blade clattered to the ground. Mba fell to his knees, panting. Around them, silence fell like heavy rain. By morning, the town square overflowed. The people of Ikala gathered, soldiers, elders, mothers and children. Mba stood before them, bound and broken. Before his feet lay the coins and letters that had bought their suffering. "Elder, you betrayed your own blood for gold." "Woman, we buried sons while you feasted." Mba bowed his head. For once he had no words. Edem faced the crowd, his voice low but firm. "We are all to blame for letting greed divide us, for turning away when wrongs were done. But today, Ikala rises again. No more secrets, no more fear." He looked at Mba and continued, "Let him live to see what truth looks like when it walks free." The people murmured in agreement. Mba was taken away, his power broken. And as the sun rose, the first light touched Ikala's red earth. A new dawn on old wounds. The days that followed brought renewal. The foreign traders were expelled, their wagons sent back empty. The soldiers who once served Mba now worked the fields and guarded the borders. Schools rose where silence had ruled. Children laughed where once they hid. The land began to heal. At the center of it all stood Edem, not as a ruler, but as a guardian of the people. Solomon's men stayed for a season, helping rebuild, before returning to the forest. When they left, Solomon clasped Edem's wrist one last time. "Guard her well. The earth tests those who claim to love her." And he was gone. In the evenings, Emma often stood beside Edem on the hill above Ikala, watching the sunset paint the fields gold. "You brought back what was lost." "No. Ikala found herself again," says Edem. Their hands met, strong, steady, unbroken. The curse was lifted. The people reclaimed their land and their dignity. And so, the story of Ikala's rebellion and redemption became legend, told by firelight, carried by song, and remembered for generations.
And so, from the dust of betrayal and exile, Ikala learned to breathe again. Through the courage of those who chose trust over fear and duty over gain, the town found its balance once more. Edem and his people reminded Ikala that true riches are not the stones beneath the earth, but the hands that build, the hearts that believe, and the bonds that endure. For when a people stand together, no force, foreign or familiar, can take what belongs to them. In unity, Ikala found peace. In trust, it found its future.
If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to Tales That Breathe. Like, share, and leave a comment. Your thoughts keep these stories alive. And remember to click the notification bell so you never miss when a new tale rises from the heart of Africa.